What's up, guys? I'm DK, and you're watching Pro Wrestling What If, the series where I look at the different what if scenarios as terms of the world that we call professional wrestling. Batista was one of the biggest WWE superstars during the Ruthless Aggression era, having started his rise as a part of the faction Evolution alongside Randy Orton, Ric Flair, and Triple H before breaking off as a single star, winning the 2005 Royal Rumble match and going on to win his first World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 21. He would go on to win more World Championships and even tried to end The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak at one point before his run was finished. As we approached 2009-2010, Batista had started getting disgruntled for many reasons, including wanting to pursue a career in Hollywood and the company's direction of going from TV-14 to PG. This led to Batista deciding not to re-sign a new contract with WWE, which led to the segment of Batista yelling, "I quit!" while in a wheelchair. Batista would go on to film movies such as House of the Rising Sun, Scorpion King 3, and The Man with the Iron Fist, but didn't get his big break in Hollywood until playing Drax the Destroyer in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy in 2014. Last year I discussed Batista leaving in 2014, but I know you guys were vocal in the comments about wanting this topic to happen. So now that 2025 marks 15 years since Batista originally left WWE, it makes sense that we discuss about this topic now. So of course, for today's video, we're discussing what if Batista never quit WWE in 2010. And this video will be a pay-per-view by pay-per-view basis, starting out with Extreme Rules 2010 and work all the way until WrestleMania 27 in 2011. We're going to be going to the mindset that WWE would allow Batista to film movies while still under contract, since that was a term Batista wanted in re-signing with the company. And if you end up enjoying this video, don't forget to hit that like button, share this to all your friends, subscribe, and press the notification bell for when future episodes get released, and leave a comment down below about today's topic or suggesting a future topic for an episode of Pro Wrestling What If. So starting off with Extreme Rules in 2010, which we would still have Batista versus John Cena in the last man standing match for the WWE Championship. Now this match did take place in the real timeline, but a reason why I think the match would have still happened is due to being a rematch from WrestleMania 26, since Batista had lost the WWE Championship to John Cena during that event. Unlike the real timeline though, there won't be another match between the two when it comes to Over the Limit, as the night after Extreme Rules would be the 2010 WWE Draft, where I think Batista would end up getting drafted to the SmackDown brand. The reason I think Batista got drafted to Raw back in 2008 and remained there up until this point, besides the short SmackDown stint in 2009, was to set up his match with John Cena at WrestleMania. They had the match at SummerSlam 2008 where they were going to lead to another match for WrestleMania 25. However, Batista would end up needing surgery to repair a torn hamstring and had to miss WrestleMania 25, and he wouldn't be cleared to return until after the event. So now that WWE were able to pull off John Cena versus Batista at WrestleMania, there would be no need to keep the two on the same roster. Plus, with the Over the Limit match not happening now, that means that Batista doesn't end up injuring his L1 spine over the limit. Now that Batista is on SmackDown, I think his motivations are still going after the World Championship, with the SmackDown brand having the World Heavyweight Championship on the show. However, Batista actually doesn't compete on this event because had he re-signed, he was originally going to star in the movie Inside Out and begin filming after Extreme Rules. No, not the Disney Pixar film that released in 2015, Inside Out being a movie produced by WWE Studios that had ended up having Triple H play the lead role. So with WWE Studios films usually being 4 to 6 weeks on average to film, Batista would not be able to compete at Over the Limit, but is likely to return in time for the next pay-per-view. Like I had mentioned, Batista would be going to SmackDown as a part of the WWE Draft, but at this time had been written off with a kayfabe injury suffered during the Last Man Standing match in order to do the movie. Fatal 4-Way, which Batista would compete in a Fatal 4-Way match against Big Show, CM Punk, and the reigning champion Jack Swagger for the World Heavyweight Championship. Not gonna lie, I actually totally forgot that this was actually a pay-per-view event. Batista would make his return in time for Fatal 4-Way, but he would actually be put into the title match the night of the event instead of qualifying. Undertaker had originally qualified to be in the title match until he wasn't medically cleared due to suffering a concussion and a broken nose during his qualifying match. Although Rey Mysterio was the one who had lost to Undertaker, he would win a Battle Royal to take his place at the event, which still applies to this timeline. However, Rey Mysterio the night of the event would be found hurt backstage and no longer able to compete, thus allowing Batista to make his return and take the spot in the Fatal 4-Way match. Batista wouldn't have been able to properly qualify as the matches took place while filming was still in progress for Inside Out. With the estimated 6 weeks like I mentioned earlier, the film would have wrapped up about a week before the Fatal 4-Way event had taken place. Plus, with Batista being a top heel in the company still, it makes sense to be a part of the match this way. Just like Rey Mysterio in the real timeline, Batista would end up walking out as the new World Heavyweight Champion. Money in the Bank, Batista would defend the World Heavyweight Championship against Kane. During this time, Kane was in a storyline trying to find out who attacked Undertaker and put him in a vegetative state. Now that in this timeline we had Rey Mysterio get attacked, Kane starts believing that Batista was behind both of the attacks, which begins the rivalry between the two. Although Batista admits to attacking Rey Mysterio to get in the Fatal 4-Way match, he denies that he also attacked The Undertaker. In the real timeline, Kane was a part of the Money in the Bank ladder match on the SmackDown side and had won the briefcase. With Kane in this match now, this means that someone else would end up winning that briefcase, which I will reveal who it will be later on, but it's easy to say that with Batista just winning the title that he would end up retaining the championship, leading to a match between Batista and the certain individual he attacked at the biggest party of the summer. Which of course leads to SummerSlam, where Batista defends the World Heavyweight Championship against Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio makes his return on the SmackDown after Money in the Bank and sets its sights on Batista due to the attack. This reignites the rivalry that happened between the two near the end of 2009, now with the World Heavyweight Championship involved. The rivalry had begun originally with Batista thinking that Rey Mysterio screwed him out of the title when it came to the bragging rights match they were involved with. Now Batista had screwed over Rey Mysterio in getting his shot at the World Heavyweight Championship, with both matches in those situations being involved in a Fatal 4-Way match. Rey Mysterio would win the match, but only by a disqualification, as Batista refuses to listen to the ref's rules while decimating Rey Mysterio. This leads to Kane coming out to confront Batista, only to then hear the gong going off and The Undertaker making his return, which only leads to what actually had happened, which is revealing that Kane was the one behind The Undertaker's attack months ago. Night of Champions. Batista would once again defend the World Heavyweight Championship against Rey Mysterio, but this time in a no-holds-barred match. Now in the real timeline, the Kane and Undertaker match was a no-holds-barred match for the World Heavyweight Championship. However, with the result we had with Batista versus Rey Mysterio, that this match needed that stipulation more, and it already has the title involved. While realistically, Kane and Undertaker never needed a title involved to reignite their legendary feud. For this match at Night of Champions, Batista would be winning in dominating fashion to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. Hell in a Cell, we would have Batista defend the World Heavyweight Championship against The Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell. Undertaker at Night of Champions in this timeline would actually defeat Kane, unlike the 3 straight pay-per-view victories we ended up seeing. This writes off Kane for a couple of weeks, as Undertaker would then challenge Batista for the World Heavyweight Championship. If you have Undertaker available and you're looking for opponents to challenge Batista, especially inside Hell in a Cell, then it makes sense to have this match happen. Although we've had these two feud throughout 2007, this is a rare instance that this isn't a babyface versus babyface match, which they had only had once on TV at TLC 2009. If this match would be anything like their 2007 Hell in a Cell match at Survivor Series, this would be very hard-hitting. Unfortunately for Undertaker though, the same thing happens that we saw in 2007, where he loses due to interference. This time from Kane instead of Edge, so we continue this rivalry going into bragging rights that will likely still be a buried alive match. Undertaker's career as a full-time competitor was coming to an end, and WWE wanted one last feud between the two, since it would never happen again if they didn't. Bragging rights. Batista at this event doesn't defend the World Heavyweight Championship, but isn't off the hook from competing at the event, as he will join Team SmackDown against Team Raw in the 14-man elimination tag team match, taking Tyler Rex's place. At some point during the match, Batista ends up not being able to coexist with his teammates, especially especially Rey Mysterio, who was a part of the team. Batista would end up getting disqualified to protect him from being pinned, while also not having to be a part of the match for too long, considering the last two events had him in both a no holds barred and Hell in a Cell match, so I would imagine a less strenuous match would be needed for Batista. Some people might not like that decision, but let's not forget that we're in the last half of 2010, where it began the stretch of terrible decisions that make the next year become the worst WWE booking since 1995 during the New Generation era. With one of those decisions happening at this event, where Kane had defeated Undertaker in the Buried Alive match due to interference from the Nexus that made absolutely no sense. And I guess before we move on to the next pay-per-view, I should mention that Team SmackDown still wins the match like they already did in the real timeline. Survivor Series. After what had happened at Bragging Rights, general manager Teddy Long sets up a 6-man gauntlet match between the members of Team SmackDown, where the winner will get to challenge Batista for the World Heavyweight Championship at Survivor Series, with the competitors being Alberto Del Rio, Big Show, Edge, Jack Swagger, Kofi Kingston, and Rey Mysterio. The winner of the match would end up being Edge, as he seemed to be the biggest face of SmackDown at that time. A stipulation is placed during the match that if Batista gets disqualified or counted out, that he will automatically lose the World Heavyweight Championship. When it comes to the result of the match, Edge ends up walking out as the new World Heavyweight Champion, ending Batista's 5-month reign as champion. The last pay-per-view of 2010, TLC. The biggest reason for Batista losing the title at Survivor Series is that throughout December in the real timeline, he was filming for the movie House of the Rising Sun. Batista would be written off by getting suspended due to laying his hands on a referee after losing the title, since you can't do another injury angle like we did for Extreme Rules. So when it comes to what the newly crowned champion Edge would be doing at TLC, it could easily be the same Fatal 4-Way TLC match involving Alberto Del Rio, Kane, and Rey Mysterio to defend the title against. Edge would still walk out as the World Heavyweight Champion, but retaining the title here instead of becoming the new champion like in the real timeline. Shoutout goes to Jackson Weingart, Jada Sanchez, Fox Starkiller, Lola Pines, Hayden Saravo, Mr. Randomizer, Harry Dynamite Storm, Skolchin, and Spidey Fan Productions 2003. And the reason that they ended up getting a shoutout is because they joined our YouTube channel membership, which only cost $1.99 a month. Not only do you get the shoutout, but you do get lots of other perks, including early access to every single video and shorts that we produce on this channel. So definitely consider joining our YouTube channel membership. It will be greatly appreciated and will go a long way of helping out this channel a lot. So definitely consider it, but let's get right back to the video. Royal Rumble 2011. After wrapping up filming House of the Rising Sun, Batista makes his return to WWE with his suspension being lifted. He would go on to invoke his rematch clause for the World Heavyweight Championship against Edge at Royal Rumble, in a match where Batista finds a way to actually once again become the World Heavyweight Champion. In the real timeline, when it came to the Royal Rumble match, Alberto Del Rio had won the match and went on to challenge for that title at WrestleMania 27. However, in this timeline, we'll be getting the person everyone actually wanted to win this specific year, being the leader of the new Nexus, CM Punk. Elimination Chamber. Batista defends the World Heavyweight Championship inside the Elimination Chamber structure against the same participants as we saw in the real timeline, besides either Drew McIntyre or Wade Barrett that Batista will be replacing. The final two of the match would come down to Edge and Batista, where we would end up once again seeing Batista lose the World Heavyweight Championship to Edge. After the match, Batista obliterates Edge like he's Exodia the Forbidden One from Yu-Gi-Oh!, leading to the SmackDown Money in the Bank winner that I teased earlier in the video to finally cash in. That person being none other than Edge's best friend Christian, who successfully cashes in and walks out of the event as World Heavyweight Champion. On the Raw side of things, The Miz would defend his WWE Championship in the other Elimination Chamber match, as the winner would defend the title against Royal Rumble winner CM Punk at WrestleMania 27. Just like the #1 contender chamber match we saw, John Cena would end up walking out the winner, but this time walks out as the new WWE Champion. And last but not least, WrestleMania 27. With Batista and Edge having held the World Heavyweight Championship during the duration of the Elimination Chamber event, a match is determined between the two, where the winner challenges the newly crowned champion Christian at WrestleMania 27. I think you guys already know how this will turn out, as Edge ends up winning, setting up the dream match in WWE of Edge versus Christian as one of the world title matches, with the other one being CM Punk versus John Cena for the WWE Championship. I don't think many people cared to know what Alberto Del Rio would be doing in this timeline since he's not in the title picture, but I think when it comes to The Miz no longer being in the WWE Championship picture here, WWE would have pulled the trigger early on a Miz versus Alex Riley match to happen. I know that kind of sounds stupid, but I'm sure you guys would rejoice, as this would replace Jerry Lawler versus Michael Cole that we all wish we had those 30 minutes of our life back from. Now the big question of this video would be what Batista would be doing at WrestleMania 27 had he re-signed, especially with the fact that he's not going after the World Heavyweight Championship, which I think he would be in an inter-promotional match against Randy Orton. We've seen many times in past WrestleManias of inter-promotional matches between a Raw and SmackDown superstar, including the back-to-back Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker matches, especially with 2011 ending up being the final year of the brand split until 2016, that this can be pulled off, but who ends up winning? It can go either way, but I will say Randy Orton, due to having a feeling that because of Batista being vocal about not being a fan of the PG era, it makes me think that if Batista did re-sign in 2010, that it may very well have been only a 1-year extension to his contract.